President recognizes Senator Colbeck.
Thank you, Madam President. Got a new year with some new opportunities. And have you guys ever proposed a solution to a problem only to have somebody say that it's impossible and it'll never work? We all have. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of folks who dismiss good ideas as being impossible. Perhaps that's what motivated me to go into aerospace engineering. Like many Americans, nothing motivates me more to make something happen than to tell me something's impossible. At one time in history, nothing seemed more impossible than human beings taking flight. At one time in history, nothing seemed more impossible than landing a man on the moon and returning him safely back to Earth. America is a land of making the impossible possible. And I'm not just talking about the Wright brothers. I'm not just talking about Neil Armstrong, my former professor at the International Space University, Buzz Aldrin. Millions of Americans from all walks of life routinely make possible what all too many in government today to be believed to be impossible. Many of our citizens manage to balance their checkbook when incomes remain flat and expenses rise. Government seems to think this is impossible. Government officials see expense increases as an excuse to increase taxes and fees. Government officials often make excuses why something can't be done, while everyday Americans find ways to get her done. In fact, when I first ran for office in the 7th Senate District seat without any previous political experience or significant financial backing against 4 former state representatives, I was told that winning was impossible. Yet here I am today. Many in Lansing told my friend and I from the 16th Senate District that right to work would be impossible to pass in Michigan. Yet here we are today. Many political pundits said that Michigan would never be a red state. Yet in this past election, here we are today. I truly tire of people who say that something can't be done. And what I've learned is that when somebody says that something can't be done, what they're really saying is, I don't want it to happen. Or, I don't want it to happen that way because it doesn't benefit me. For years, government officials and their pundit allies said we could not fix the roads without raising taxes. I repeatedly demonstrated that we could indeed fix the roads with existing funds without raising taxes. It all comes down to shared goals, budget priorities, and building higher quality roads. That was not the path we pursued because of persistent Lansing refrain of, that's impossible. Well, instead, we asked our citizens to cope with a $600 million tax increase that took effect on January 1st. And for those who still think it's impossible to fix the roads without increasing taxes, I'd like to point out that our lapse fund balance from last year's budget was $589.8 million. 589.8 is pretty dang close to $600 million. It turns out that the impossible task of fixing our roads with existing funds was indeed possible after all. For the sake of our citizens, I say it's about time that we started to consider actually doing what many in government say is impossible. It's time to establish some big, hairy, audacious goals, or BHAGs, for this legislative session. For starters, let's eliminate the need for the $8.7 billion in personal income tax the state collects every year, and the ill-conceived senior pension tax right along with it. I'm pleased to note that both chambers have introduced legislation to fully repeal the state income tax. In fact, I'm honored to have co-sponsored the legislation introduced by a conservative senator from the 8th District. This is a good start. In education, or in addition to eliminating our state income tax, let's find a way to—
Excuse me, Senator. Could we please lessen the noise? We have one of our colleagues who is addressing us. Thank you. Continue, Senator Colbeck.
Thank you very much, Madam President. In addition to eliminating our state income tax, let's find a way to add $3,000 per pupil per year into education without raising taxes. While we're at it, let's grow and diversify jobs in Michigan with exciting new industries like aerospace without pursuing economic development policies that pick winners and losers. I've done the research. Each of these big, hairy, audacious goals is indeed possible. Each of these big, hairy, audacious goals would do something that we haven't done in quite some time. What's that? We would finally kick the agenda of special interests to the curb and start pursuing an agenda that helps everyone in our state. All it takes is for enough of us to look beyond the artificial roadblocks and naysayers and instead say, let's make it happen. There's an old adage that says, people who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. I'm tired of being interrupted from pursuing solutions that serve the broader interests of our citizens, and so are our citizens. Many of us know that with Christ all things are possible. For the sake of the people that we serve, let's make 2017 the year of doing the impossible. I'd like my remarks added to the journal, please.
Senator Colbeck requests his remarks appear in the Journal without objection. So ordered.